USA, the only country in history to lose a nuclear bomb. And never find it. Yes, you heard that right. We dropped a nuke into the ocean, and left it. You'd think losing a hydrogen bomb would trigger national panic, right? DEFCON 1, full alert? Nope. We basically shrugged. Welcome to the weirdest Cold War accident you've never heard of. Let's rewind to 1958, when the US was flying nukes around like hot potatoes. Back then, nuclear bombers were constantly in the air, 24/7. It was called Operation Chrome Dome, and the mission was simple: be ready to nuke Russia, anytime. So, on February 5, 1958, a B-47 bomber took off from Homestead Air Force Base, Florida. On board was a Mark 15 nuclear bomb, over 7,000 pounds of city-ending firepower. The plan? Routine night training mission over the southeastern coast of the United States. But around 2 a.m., disaster struck. A nearby F-86 fighter jet collided with the bomber midair. The fighter pilot ejected and survived, but the bomber was heavily damaged and struggling to stay airborne. To avoid crashing with a nuclear bomb on board, the crew made a call: drop the bomb. So they jettisoned the Mark 15 into the waters near Tybee Island, Georgia. And then, they flew back to base, leaving a hydrogen bomb at the bottom of the ocean. At first, the military said, no worries. It wasn't armed. Just a practice bomb. But that wasn't entirely true. In fact, later reports contradicted that official version. In 2001, a Department of Defense report suggested the bomb might have had a live plutonium core. If that's accurate, this wasn't just a practice shell, it was a fully armed nuclear weapon. To be clear, this wasn't a small bomb. This was a thermonuclear device, capable of leveling an entire city. It had the potential to cause a blast 250 times stronger than Hiroshima. And now it was. Somewhere in the ocean, under sand, mud, and salt water near Savannah, Georgia. Naturally, the Air Force launched a search. They scoured the area with sonar and divers, but found nothing. Then they gave up. Search too expensive, too hard, and maybe too embarrassing. They said the bomb wasn't a danger, and that was that. End of story. Or was it? In the early 2000s, a retired Air Force officer, Lieutenant Colonel Derek Duke, decided to investigate. He used radiation detectors near Wassaw Sound, just a few miles from Tybee Island. Guess what? He found elevated radiation levels in area that matched the original drop zone. Exciting, right? Could it be the bomb? Well, the government said, nope. Just natural radiation. Nothing to worry about. Nothing suspicious here. Move along. But some experts weren't convinced. And honestly, neither are we. To this day, the official line is, the bomb is still out there, but totally safe. They say the conventional explosives may have decayed, and without the plutonium core, it can't detonate. But if the bomb was armed, and if corrosion exposes it, that's another story. Even if it can't explode, it could leak radioactive material into the ocean. It's what the military calls a broken arrow, an accident involving nuclear weapons not resulting in war. And believe it or not, this wasn't the only time something like this happened. The US has had over 30 broken arrow incidents involving nuclear weapons since the Cold War began. But this one is unique because it's still unresolved, and the bomb is still missing. Imagine a nuclear bomb lying in the ocean, lost like a set of car keys. Only this key could flatten a city and trigger an international crisis. The bomb is called a Mark 15 Mod 0, an early hydrogen bomb, part of America's Cold War arsenal. It used a combination of fission and fusion, and was designed for mass destruction on a terrifying scale. Now, buried somewhere under silt and seawater, it waits, undisturbed, and probably forgotten by most. There are no warning signs posted. No recovery mission. Just silence. So why hasn't anyone recovered it? Because the ocean is big. And sonar tech in 1958 wasn't great. Today's tech is better, but the area is muddy, with strong currents and constant shifting. It could be buried deep under sediment, or broken into unrecognizable pieces. Or maybe someone already found it, and we were never told. Just saying. The US government maintains that the bomb poses no environmental threat or security risk. But that hasn't stopped people from trying to search for it, even decades later. The incident has faded from public memory, relegated to conspiracy threads and obscure history blogs. Most Americans have never heard of it. And there's no Netflix documentary, yet. But it happened. And it's real. The nuke is still out there, waiting quietly under the sea off Georgia's coast. So, what do you think? Lost forever, or buried treasure for future archaeologists? Let us know in the comments. And if this blew your mind, like and subscribe. We've got more Cold War weirdness and forgotten stories where this came from. Only in America can you lose a nuke, shrug your shoulders, and keep flying like nothing happened.